On digital logic and system design. In the previous lecture, we had seen decoders and demultiplexers. Today, we will see encoders and multiplexer, which is just the reverse of a decoder and demultiplexer, respectively. So, let us begin with encoders. So, just as in decoder, we had seen there are n input lines and 2 to the power n output lines depending on the combination of ones and zeros that you apply at the input. One of those 2 to the power n output lines goes high or it goes low depending on whether you are doing a positive logic or a negative logic. Let me make it very clear here that keeping 0 as off and 1 as on, or correspondingly 0 as false and 1 as true, is a matter of convention. People call it positive logic. It depends what convention you want to adopt. If suppose somebody wants to keep 1 as off and 0 as on, it is perfectly fine. That will be called the negative logic. So it is just a matter of convention. Whenever there are two distinct possibilities, on, off, true, false, like that, present, absent, in that case you can choose any one of those distinct two possibilities as 0 and the other one as 1, right? So never get confused that 1 is always on or 0 is always off, or true, false, and whatever. It is just a matter of convention. Okay, so decoders we've already seen that way: n input lines and 2 to the power n output lines. Depending on the combination of the input lines, one of the output lines that goes high. Encoder is just the reverse, as the name also suggests. Now over here, what will happen? There are 2 to the power n input lines and n output lines, right? Just the opposite of decoder. So depending on which of these input lines is high, you will have the corresponding combination at the output. For example, when D0 is high and rest of the remaining lines are zeros, you will get 0 0 0 at the output. When you have D1 high and all the remaining lines are 0, then you get 0 0 1 at the output. When D2 is high and all the remaining are zeros, the remaining lines are zeros, you get 0 1 0. And likewise, D3 high, you get 0 1 1. D4 high, you get 1 0 0. D5 high, you get 1 0 1. D6 high, you get 1 1 0. And D7 high, you get 1 1 1. So this is octal to binary encoder. You can always vary the size. Suppose you want to make it 4 to 2 encoder, 4 to 2 encoder, then in that case you will have just 4 input lines and 2 output lines. Depending on which of the input lines is high, which of the one input line is high, you will have the corresponding output combination. Similarly, you can have 16 to 4 decoder, you can have 32 to 5 decoder, you can have 64 to 6 decoder, you can have 128 to 7 decoder, you can have 256 to 8 decoder, and so on. So the size may vary, but the functionality remains the same, right? So let us see how can such a system be designed, right? So over here you see that in the next line we will see x is nothing but d4 or d5 or d6 or d7, right? So, and y, okay, so let me go to this logic circuit diagram. See, x is d4 or d5 or d6 or d7. Similarly, y is d2 or d3 or d6 or d7. Let us go back and see. Y is d2 or d3, because there are ones corresponding to these two places only and then one corresponding to these two places. So it should be or d6 or d7. That is precisely we have got. Now z is d1 or d3 or d5 or d7, d1 or d3 or d5 or d7. Okay, so as simple as that, right? So this is how you can design. One thing you notice that d0 is never used. D0 is never used anywhere. That is one of the points that you can notice. Now Perfectly fine. Now, the problem over here is that what if by mistake or intentionally, let me say by mischief, somebody makes two input lines high simultaneously at the same time? Then what will happen? Obviously, such an octal to binary encoder will malfunction, because it is designed in such a way that only one of the input lines have to be high at a given point of time, which is not in your control because input is coming from the outer world. Anybody intentionally or unintentionally may put one of the input lines as high. Then obviously things will get disturbed. You will get some output, but that output may not be logical, may not be predictable, may not something that you have foreseen, right? So you should have the provision of such an intentional or an unintentional error at the input. So this gives rise to what is called priority encoder. In priority encoder, this word priority is added because you are setting the priority to the inputs just in case more than one input is high at a given point of time. Then, according to priority, the output will be generated corresponding to the higher priority input. For example, let us understand from this very table, which is the priority encoder, priority, octal to binary encoder. I'm keeping the same example so that you can see the difference clearly. When D0 is 1, you are getting 0, 0, 0 at the output. All right, fine. It is when D1 is high, what is required is D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, all of them are high, but D0 is don't care. Which means if D0 and D1, both of them are high simultaneously, the encoding will be corresponding to D1 and not corresponding to D0. That is why we are keeping D0 as don't care. Similarly, when D2 is high, regardless of whether D0 or D1 are high, any one of them or both of them may be high, but the encoding will happen according to D2. Similarly, D3, when D3 is high, you keep pressing any one of them as high, doesn't really matter. The encoding will be corresponding to D3. So priority is increasing this way. Finally, when D7 is high, when D7 is high and any one of the remaining ones are high or low, whatever, regardless of that, the output will be corresponding to D7. So that way D7 has got the highest priority and D0 has got the least priority. So if any two or more input lines are high simultaneously, intentionally or unintentionally, the higher priority line will be encoded and the lower priority line will be discarded, or they will become don't care. Okay, so that is how priority encoder works. If any two lines are high, for example D1 is high and D6 is high, what will happen? D6 will be encoded, D1 will be simply neglected. Similarly, if suppose D2, D4 and D5 are high simultaneously, D2, D4, D5 are high simultaneously, intentionally or unintentionally, by mischief or by error, then in that case, by mischief or by mistake, then in that case, D5 having the higher priority will be encoded and D3, D2 will simply be discarded. So this is what a priority encoder is, which takes care of more than one input line going high in an otherwise the conventional encoder, right? So it makes sense to design a priority encoder always. Now, how will you write the equations for this? If you remember previously, X was simply D4 or D5 or D6 or D7. But over here, you will write D4, D5 dash, D6 dash, D7 dash. What does it mean? That it does require that these three lines should necessarily be low. And since they are don't care, you can simply neglect them. They are not a part of it. Another one is D5, so you should write D5 and D6 dash and D7 dash, which means D5 should be high, or and D6 should be low and D7 should be low. Similarly, D6 and D7 bar, and finally D7. So this is how you design X. So you see, this is the difference between an encoder a conventional encoder or a simple encoder and a priority encoder. Now coming to y over here is 1. So how will you write? D2 and D3 dash and D4 dash and D5 dash and D6 dash and D7 dash. Similarly this one, or after this, or D3 and D4 dash and D5 dash and D6 dash and D7 dash, or D6 and D7 dash, or D7. So this is how Y will come out, and Z will be, the first one is here, so you will write D1 and D2 dash and D3 dash and D4 dash and D5 dash and D6 dash and D7 dash, or come to the next one. Next one is D3. So D3 should be ANDed with D4 dash, D5 dash, D6 dash, D7 dash, or D5 because this is high, and D6 dash and D7 dash, and finally this one is D7. So now you can easily draw the circuit diagram. I am not drawing the circuit diagram. You can draw the logic circuit diagram just as we did for a simple encoder, octal to binary encoder. I am giving you the design equations. These are the 3 design equations. You can simply translate them into the logic diagram of a priority encoder. So I am leaving it to you, but you do not leave it out. You draw it in your notebooks, right? Using NOT gates, OR gates and AND gates. That will give you a practice. How can you design a logic circuit diagram? How can you draw and sketch a circuit diagram? So this is about the priority encoder, which is very clearly a better alternative than a simple encoder, right? Because it takes care of more than one input lines going high. In that case, the higher priority line will be encoded and the lower priority line will simply be ignored or discarded. Okay. So likewise, you can also have priority encoder of different sizes. A 4 to 2 priority encoder, there could be a 16 to 4, 32 to 5, 64 to 6, 128 to 7, 256 to 8, and so on priority encoders. Right? Also, you can have your own priority. Suppose somebody wants to keep a priority this way. D7 is the least priority and D0 is the highest priority, right? So you design the table accordingly. Okay. Once you have understood this, you can design. Somebody may have, for the heck of it, somebody may want to have some randomized priority. Somebody wants to have D4 as the highest priority, then D2, then D5, and so on, so on. Some randomized priority. Then also this table can be drawn and these lines can be written. So I leave it to you to practice, right? First, do a reverse priority encoder where the priority is just the reverse of what I have shown, okay, for whatever reason. And then you just write these lines, write these input lines in a random fashion and set the priority accordingly and design the priority encoder. So that will give you enough practice for designing a priority encoder. Let me now move on to multiplexers. So just let me remind you very quickly that demultiplexers were a combinational circuit in which you have one input and several outputs. So a demultiplexer directs that single input to one of the different outputs, one of the n outputs, depending on the status at the select lines, right? That is what a demultiplexer was, as we have explained in the previous lecture. A multiplexer is just the opposite of it. Just as encoder is just the opposite of a decoder, a multiplexer is the opposite of demultiplexer, or more appropriately, demultiplexer is an opposite of multiplexer, right? Whatever way you want to put it. So that way, a multiplexer, what it will do, it will direct one of its n inputs to its single output depending on the status of select lines. For example, if the select lines are 0, 0, this input will be directed to the output. If they are 0, 1, this will be directed to the output. If it is 1, 0, then input 2 should be directed at the output, and when it is 1, 1, so input 3 should be directed at the output, right? A single output and 2 to the power n inputs, a maximum of 2 to the power n inputs with n select lines. 2 select lines, 4 inputs may be there. The output will remain single, right? Output will remain single, but there could be the number of input lines that will depend on the number of select lines, or the number of select lines will depend on the number of input lines that you have to, only one of them will have to be directed at the output. at a given point of time. So a 4:1 multiplexer will have 2 select lines. 8:1 multiplexer will have 3 select lines. 16:1 multiplexer will have 4 select lines, and so on. Now, how does a 4:1 multiplexer gets designed? Let us see here. See, S1, S0. When S1 and S0, both of them are 0, 0, I'll get a 1 here and a 1 here, right? At all the remaining places, these AND gates will be disabled. Disabled means any one of these two inputs will be 0. So the output will become 0 for all these three, right? Only for this gate, when the the select line combination is 0, 0, that these two inputs are 1, 1. When they are 1, 1, you will get a I0 here, right? You will get an I0 here. And these two being 0, y will be I0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, which is I0. So y will be I0. That is what I have written here. Under the condition S1 as 0, 0, 0, y is I0. Now come to the condition S1 as 0 being 0, 1. In that case, when it is 0, 1, you are getting a 1 here and a 1 here. So let us see. This gate receives the complement of S1 and the true value of S0. So only this gate will be enabled. All three will be disabled. Disabled means their outputs will be 0, 0, 0. Now, since both these inputs for this gate are 1, 1, I'll get an I1 here. So I1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 will be I1. So under the condition S1 as 0 being 0, 1, I'll get I1. Likewise, when it is 1, 0, this gate receives S1 and S0 bar. You see, this receives S1 and S0 bar. So only for this gate, these two inputs will be 1, 1. For all the remaining gates, any one of these two inputs will be 0. And when that is 0, that gate will be disabled. That will start giving 0 at its output regardless of its input. This will be the only gate under the condition 1, 0, which will have both these inputs as 1, 1. So correspondingly, I2 will emerge out of this AND gate. All the remaining being 0, 0, y will be I2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, which is I2 only. Similarly, 1, 1. 1, 1 is a combination that goes only to this gate. So all these three will be disabled, will give you 0, 0, 0. This will give you I3. So y will be I3 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 will be I3. So that is how a multiplexer works. Suppose you want to enlarge it to a 16:1 multiplexer, then you need to have 4 such select lines. 4 such select lines. Similarly, the first gate will receive, suppose I have S3, S2, S1, S0. So the first gate will receive S3 bar, S2 bar, S1 bar, S0 bar, right? At its AND gate, and I0 will be supplied. So only I0 will emerge. The last gate will have S3, S2, S1, S0 and I3. So only that will be I15. That will be I15 if I'm talking about a 16:1 multiplexer. So correspondingly, you can design a multiplexer of any order, right? It is just that the number of select lines will decide how many of the inputs you can direct to a single output at a given point of time. Which of the 2 to the power n inputs you will direct at the output line. Now, so this is the design of a multiplexer. It is a very useful device. As you will study computer architecture, computer organization, you will see that this is a very useful device. In fact, demultiplexer is also useful, but multiplexer, I would say personally, that is my personal experience, that multiplexer is more useful than demultiplexer. We will see. Right now, I'm going to give you one important application of a multiplexer, and that is in function realization. How do I sense that? If you remember, using decoder, we were realizing functions by employing an OR gate external to the decoder that we had explained in one of the earlier lectures. Over here, I can see that the OR gate is inbuilt. It is inside the multiplexer itself. So can this be used for realizing a function as well? Because these gates are essentially generating the min terms corresponding to S1 S0. See, this is S1 dash S0. This one S1 dash S0 dash. This one is S1 dash S0. This one is receiving S1 S0 dash, and this one is receiving S1 S1. So S1 S0. So essentially, they are taking the min terms of the select lines, and I also have an inbuilt OR gate. So that means using a multiplexer, I can realize a function without any external OR gate at all. That let us see in the we will see in the next slide. But before that, this is a very useful circuit, quadruple 2 to 1 line multiplexer. It means there are different four 2 to 1 line multiplexers in the same circuit. And how does it work? With the enable line also. When the enable line is 1, regardless of the select lines, you get all zeros. Why? Because when this is 1, this is 0. So this is giving zeros to this, 0 to this, 0 to all the AND gates. So correspondingly, they will give a 0 at their outputs. All of them are giving 0, 0. So y1 will be 0, y2 will be 0, y3 will be 0, y4 will be 0, because the output of all the AND gates are zeros. And effectively, these AND gates are feeding the OR gates. That will be about the select lines. It is when the select line goes 0, then it is enabled from this end. 0 here, then a 1 here. So these gates are enabled from the end of the enable control line. Now see, corresponding to 0, 0. Corresponding to 0, 0, which means enable is 0 and S is 0. When S is 0, this particular gate will be enabled, and so will be this gate. So just hold on. No, yeah. So this S0 being 0, S being 0, this gate is enabled, this gate is enabled, this gate is enabled, this gate enabled, and all these four gates are disabled because this is receiving S only. So they S will be S is 0, so their outputs will be 0, 0, 0. But these gates are enabled. So what do I get here? I get A1 here, I get A2 here, I get A3 here, and I get A4 here. Okay, and these lines are 0, 0, 0. So I'll get y1 as a1 plus 0, y2 as a2 plus 0, y3 as a3 plus 0, and y4 as a4 plus 0, right? So which means y is a, right? So it selects a, output y selects a. Take the other case, when e is still 0, so that means this is enabled from this side. S is 1. Now when S is 1, these four gates receive 0 at their input. So these gates are disabled. They are giving out 0, 0, 0, 0, right? Regardless of the other input. That is how the AND gate behaves. But since S is 1, so this is S0, S dash, and this is S back. So these four gates are enabled. So I'll get a B1 here, I'll get a B2 here, I'll get a B3 here, I'll get a B4 here. So correspondingly, Y1 will be B1 plus 0, Y2 will be B2 plus 0, Y3 will be Y3 will be B3 plus 0, and Y4 will be B4 plus 0. So I'll get all B's at the output. So this becomes 4 2 to 1 line multiplexers. So I can say that this becomes a 4-bit 2 to 1 line multiplexer. 4-bit 2 to 1 line multiplexer. So I can give the input as 4-bit each, and one of those two input combination will emerge at the output. So similarly, you can have quadruple quadruple 4 to 1 line multiplexer also. You can have quadruple 8 to 1 line multiplexer. So this is basically n bit 2 to 1 line multiplexer. So I can put m bit n to 1 line multiplexer. That will be a generic multiplexer that I can design on these similar lines, right? So now let us move on to realization of function using multiplexers. That will be one very useful application. As I said just now, OR gate is inbuilt, so let us make use of it. Let us see how do we do this. Function implementation using multiplexers. Suppose I am given to realize the function of three variables a, b, c, which is, I have plotted it over here in the form of a sum of product form implementation. So this says 1, 3, 5, 6. They are ones, right? they are ones, and obviously the remaining ones are zeros. Now I'm employing a 4:1 line multiplexer, and what I'm doing is the select lines I am giving as two inputs B and C. Now these two input lines B and C are 0 0 here. See, try to understand. BC is 0 here, and BC is 0 here, right? Correspondingly, if I look at F, S is 0 regardless of what A is. So I can give 0 at the input I0, so that whenever B and C are 0 0, I'll get a 0 as the function, which is true whenever BC are 0 0, F is 0, right? Now come to the next combination, 0 1. 0 1 is over here and 0 1 is over here, right? Corresponding to this, if you see, F is 1 and F is 1, right? Regardless of what A is. So what I'll do, I'll put a 1 here, so that whenever BC are 0 1, I'll get F as 1 from here and here. It is 1. Come to I2, which is 1 0. Combination 1 0 at the input. So 1 0 is here, 1 0 is here, right? Over here I see that F is nothing but A itself. It is 0 when A is 0, it is 1 when A is 1, right? So I'll feed A here, so that whenever they are 1 0, whatever is A I'll get as F. So if A is 0, I'll get F as 0. If A is 1, I'll get um, F as 1, right? Come to the last one, I3, where BC both will be 1 1, I3 will be directed, BC when both BC will be 1 1. So what should I direct? Let us check corresponding to 1 1. So you see, if A is 0, I am getting a 1, and if A is 1, I am getting a 0. So this is essentially A dash. So if I employ a 4:1 multiplexer, connect its two select lines with B and C, and give the variations of A at the input, I can realize the function F. What is inside that we already know. There will be 4 AND gates, there will be one OR gate. That OR gate output is available here, right? The functionality of this multiplexer is such that when they are 0 0, I get I0 directed to the output. When they are 0 1, I1 gets directed, 1 0, I2 gets directed, 1 1, I3 gets directed. So I'm using that to my advantage. When BC is 0 0, these are the two conditions, and I'm getting zeros always. So I supply a 0 here. In 0 1, I am getting a 1 at the output, so I supply a 1 here. Corresponding to 1 0, 1 0, BC being 1 0, these are the two places, 1 0. I am getting a 0A, 0F, 1A, 1F. So essentially A, right? And corresponding to I3, that is 1 1, I see that this is 0. If I supply 0 as A, then I get F as 1. If I supply A as 1, I get 0 as F. So it is essentially A dash, right? So I connect A dash, right? So this is how I realize a function using just a multiplexer without any external gate or anything. Just the multiplexer is good enough. Now the question is this the only way of realizing a function using a multiplexer? No, not necessarily. I can connect A and B as the select lines and supply variations of C as the input. Let us see how it goes. AB 0 0. When AB are 0 0, I0 must be directed at the output, right? So let us see where are AB. AB is 0 0 in these two consecutive conditions, right? And F is nothing but C. F is nothing but C. So corresponding to I0, I connect it to C. 1 0, these are the two conditions, you see. Sorry, 0 1. These are the two conditions, 0 1 0 1. I am getting C only, so I connect C to I1 also. 1 0, these are the two combinations, 1 0. I am getting again C, so the third line, that is I2, will also be connected to C. Now 1 1, which means I3 being directed to the output, I see that this is the complement, so I complement or invert C and supply as I3. So you can have any two of the input lines as the select lines in whatever manner, and correspondingly looking at the table, you can design what variations of the remaining line has to be applied at the inputs to get the desired function as implemented by this 4 is to 1 multiplexer. Now one thing must be very clear to you, that if I have got an n bit function, then I should have n minus 1 select lines, and the nth line, whatever may be, that the variation of that will be applied at the output. So in the case of 3 inputs, I am having a 4 is to 1 multiplexer. If I want to realize a 4 variable function, then I should have 8 is to 1 multiplexer. In order to realize 16 is to 1, 16 is to 1 I've seen. In order to realize a 5 variable function, I should have a 16 is to 1 multiplexer, and so on. That is point number 1. Secondly, just as in the case of decoder, here also you will have to put the function in the sum of product form necessarily, canonical sum of product form necessarily, because you have the AND or scheme inside the multiplexer. So it should necessarily be a canonical sum of product form of the function to be implemented by a multiplexer. If you compare the realization of a function using multiplexer and a decoder, it is very clear that in the case of a decoder, you can realize more than one function at a given point of time, but you have to give as many external OR gates. In the case of multiplexer, you can realize only one function at a given point of time, but there is no external gate required. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of function implementation using a multiplexer, right? So let me now move on to one more example. Yeah, a 4 variable. How do I realize this? So I write the table first. You see, in canonical sum of product form, 0 1 3 4. So 0 1 3 4 8 9 15. 8 9 15. These are the ones here. So for 4 variable, I should have 8 is to 1 multiplexer with the 3 select lines receiving the 3 inputs, and the 4th input should have the variation applied to the input. Let us see how. BCD 0 0 0 means I0 will be directed. So let us see. I have BCD as 0 0 0 here, and I have BCD as 0 0 0 here. Function is 1. You see, at both these places function is 1 regardless of A. So I supply a permanent 1 here at I0. 0 0 1 means I1 will be directed at the output. So let us locate 0 0 1 here and 0 0 1 here. So I am getting again a 1 regardless of what A is. So I give a permanent 1 here. Come to I2. I2 gets directed when I have got 0 1 0. So let us locate 0 1 0 is here and 0 1 is 0 is here, right? So in these two conditions, 0 1 0, I get a 0 regardless of what A is. So I give a 0 at I2. Now let us come to I3. I3 means 0 1 1. Then I3 will be directed corresponding to 0 1 1. If you see, this is 0 1 1 and this is 0 1 1 for BCD, right? So this is, you see, for A being 0 it is 1, and for A being 1 it is 0. So that means this is receiving the complement of A. So I have given the inverted A as I3. I4 will be directed when I have got 1 0 0, right? So let us see, 1 0 0 is here, 1 0 0 is here, okay? And 0 is becoming 1 and 1 is becoming 0. That means this is also inverted. So the inverted version of A is given to I4 as well. I5 will be the case when 1 0 1, right? So let us see, 1 0 1 here, 1 0 1 here, and I see that this is 0 regardless of what A is. So I give a 0 at I5. And I6 is when it is 1 1 0. I6 will be directed at the output when I have 1 1 0 here. With 1 1 0, I can see this is 1 1 0 and this is 1 1 0. And what I am receiving is 0 in both the places. So I6 should also receive a 0. Finally, coming to I7, which will be directed to the output when I have got the select lines as 1 1 1. That is in these two cases. This one and this one. And over here I see that when a is 0 I am receiving a 0, when a is 1 I am receiving a 1, so that means a should be given to I7. So I can realize a function of 4 variables using an 8 is to 1 multiplexer by selecting by connecting three of the variables to the select lines, and the variation of one variable or 0 and 1 to the input lines. Now try realizing the same function when A, B, C are connected here and variations of D have to be given. Use the same table and try designing it yourself. Then next, that is a kind of your practice exercise. The next, try to connect in a random fashion. Connect A here, connect C here, connect D here, and try giving variations of B at the input. Okay, you have to be very careful. You'll have to look for all such combinations. You see here also I can change the sequence. I can connect A here. Okay, I said A here, C here, D here, right? And try giving the variations of B or 1 0 over here. So try doing this exercise for your practice sake. These points I've already made. Only canonical sum of product form functions are implemented using multiplexers. One function per multiplexer at a given point of time. If you want to realize another function, you will have to change these connections. No external gate required. In a demultiplexer based function realization, you can realize more than one function per decoder, but you need to have that many external OR gates, right? So these are the advantages and disadvantages of the demultiplexer, of a multiplexer based realization of functions. So we'll stop here. We should be looking for such a device wherein um, you know I can realize more than one function at a given point of time without putting any external or gate. Combining the advantages of both a multiplexer and a decoder in a single circuit, if at all possible, and doing away with the disadvantages of decoder based implementation of a function and multiplexer based realization of a function in a single circuit. That circuit, let me hint you right now, we will study later. That is called ROM, read only memory. We will see it later. So we will stop here and try going through this lecture. If there are any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer. So we will continue from here in the next lecture. Thank you very much.